Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special introduction. So we have people from multiple places, as we saw in the chat. Those of you who joined in a little late right now, you could introduce yourself in chat. And it would be great if you can put your videos on, because this is going to be an interactive session. We don't have much of a lecture here. Okay, so it would be great if you put your videos on and have interaction. Ashish, welcome. Chirag, welcome. Chaitanya, welcome. Chaitanya, I think there's some light issue for, yeah, now it is better. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Deepshika, welcome. Okay, so just give me 1 second. Okay, great. So who's from Anjali? Okay, MI A2. Okay, so Anjali, can you change your name on the screen? If you can, that would be great. Otherwise, also it's fine. Everybody else, if you can put your videos on, that would be good. Nisha, Anjan Kumar, Sudarshan, Gopal, thank you. Okay, Sashi, thank you. Namdev, Quen, welcome. Santosh, thank you. Santosh, you are from Nash, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. So yeah, we got information from your company. Thank you. Thanks for joining.
Welcome.
And Gopal also, right? Okay, so good evening. So today's session is an introduction to the principles of leadership from emerging future. We do workshops and consulting based on that. So leadership from emerging future is a world of leadership and change management built on the principles of Theory U by MIT Professor Dr. Otto Scharmer. So we're going to introduce you the key principles and the whole world of thinking around it, and also get a sense of what happens in our courses and consulting. So this is going to be an interactive conversation. We are going to use one of Otto Scharmer's introductory video in between for our dialogue. So we would show you a part of the video and have conversations with you, pause the video, have conversations with you, and then again show another part like that. And then after we completed that part of the introduction, we will also go into various other key principles of leadership from the emerging future, depending on the time availability. This is scheduled from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So it would be great that you're available with us throughout. And it would be great if you're available with your videos on and interacting, because as I mentioned, it is going to be a completely interactive session. Okay, so many of you have introduced yourself on the chat, and those of you who have joined in now, you can introduce yourself again. So on the chat, say mentioning your name and city. If you would like to mention your company name, you could do that also, right? Industry. So let's introduce the team here. So myself, Manoj Onkar, and I have with me my partners and associates, so Vivek Chopra. Vivek, can you raise your hand? Okay, so Vivek, he's, as you can see, he is on a beach, right? Thanks to Zoom, he can have the beach anywhere. And then we have Aljor Pereira is our partner in Philippines and Thailand. And then I also have Nilesh Surana here with us. Nilesh, yeah, okay. So Nilesh, your video is off. Okay, so you can introduce yourself whenever later on, whenever your videos are on. Okay, so Welcome. So I'm going to start with a question. Okay. And my question is, if you look at yourself more so professionally, in your lead, and all of us have some kind of leadership capacity to play, leadership roles to play, what would you say are your top 2 challenges? So you look at your work, and whether you're an entrepreneur or you're part of a small company or part of a large company, whatever role you're playing, what would you say are your top 2 leadership challenges? Okay, and you can unmute and speak up. That would be great. If you want to write on the chat, that's also fine, whichever way it works for you. Okay. Somebody has to start, then everybody will start talking. First one is to.
Good
Yes,
afternoon, Mr. Manoj.
welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, myself Namdev Patil.
Yeah, Namdev.
I'm from Thane.
Yeah.
And yes, I do two businesses basically. One is network marketing on e-commerce platform, and second is I'm also distributor of Daikin.
Right.
Okay.
You mean Daikin the air conditioners?
In Daikin air conditioner. Yeah.
Okay, good. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your
Okay.
leadership challenges?
Yeah, I have two leadership challenges. One is how to inspire the team,
Okay.
and second is how to do team building for long lasting.
Okay. Inspiring team and building team. Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody else?
I am Shashi Sinha.
Yeah, Sashi.
One major problem which I am facing now as we start a new year, new business, etc. Forecasting. I just don't know how to do forecasting, business scenario numbers, etc. And the other challenge emanates from the first one. How do you keep the motivation up for the self and the team, where you see the numbers slipping every day, almost every day, unfolding in a new scenario?
Right.
So forecasting and motivation.
Right. And that too aggravated by the current scenario, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And Sashi, what business are you in?
I manage the advertising and media business for Adani Airport portfolio.
Airports.
So
okay.
we are going to have 8 airports, but currently.
You are the company which everybody is scared of, eh? Sorry, I have friends in some of the other companies who are currently scared of you.
Yeah, I only wanted to correct them. They should be awed of us, not scared of us.
I will tell them that. Okay, yeah, okay. Somebody else? What are the top leadership challenges?
Right. I would like to, I'm a solopreneur. I'm not working for any organization. I run my own organization by the name of Eloquent now. And one of the challenges that I face majorly is building up my own community. I coach people for public speaking, as in like for professionals and entrepreneurs. I would like to build my own community, and that becomes a challenge. And of course, sometimes, getting clients even through referrals, in spite of doing a good work and giving results, that pipeline is not there. So this is one of the challenges that I face as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur rather.
Right. Thank you. I get that. Thanks for sharing. That's perfect. Okay, let's hear from a couple of people. What are the top 2 leadership challenges you're facing? Go for it. See, if you share, you'll be then able to connect what we are talking more appropriately than it becoming a theoretical conversation. Viren, you're saying people, can you say something more about that? People can always be a challenge, but if you say something more, that would be great. Okay, Vivek, I
Manoj,
have
I've-
sent.
Manoj, I've put some comments in there. So essentially, externally, the adaptability to the changing world, and
Okay,
internally, developing leaders within the organization. Those are the two big challenges.
adaptability and developing leaders, right? Perfect. And Rajnish, would you say something about what business you are in?
So I've just transitioned from being a CEO, CXO level leader. I've been leading very large teams in India and globally.
Okay.
And I've just transitioned to running a consultancy myself. So today I
Hmm.
coach and I also do other strategic projects. In fact, Adani is one of my clients, so I
Okay.
work with them as well. So,
Right.
uh,
Very good.
but yeah, I've been in the corporate world for 37, 38 years now.
Fantastic. Ashish Mohapatra, I think you were saying something.
I work as a international consultant, basically in public administration and governance in World Bank,
Right.
UN related projects.
Hmm.
So my basic job is to develop efficiency and competency of the organizations, licensed departments or ministries, as well as of the individuals. So I
Right.
feel the two most challenging things aspects are, one is to keep the team
Hmm.
working under me, motivated and inspired, and at the same time
Hmm.
developing my own skills
Hmm.
to maintain an edge over my rivals or my competitors.
Okay. Perfect. So, what is the first one you said?
First one is to keep that my team inspired and motivated.
Okay. Right. Right. Very good.
Second
I
one
got
is
you.
developing my own skills.
Yes. Perfect. Perfect. And we had Chaitanya sharing something on the chat. Let me just check out. Okay. Aljur, I have sent you something. Just check. Okay. SME owners, limitations on management skills and financial equipment. Right. Chaitanya, what are you doing?
It's mentioned management advisor to SME owners in their growth navigation.
Right. So then that is a business opportunity for you. That is not your leadership challenge. Right. They need you because of that, maybe. You're on mute, Chaitanya, if you're saying something. Okay. And Deepika, I got you changing mindset. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can hear you very well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
See, shall I say something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. See, the challenge which I find is
Hmm.
the SME owners, as they reach a turnover of around 25 crores or so,
Hmm.
thereafter they have to move from individually managed business, which they have been running on their own so far,
Right.
moving to team management.
Yes.
And that is where they require management skills.
Right.
And it's very, very difficult to make them adapt to it, or, to make them change their mindset.
Yeah.
And besides, for various reasons, their financial management skills are also very poor. They don't depend much on which is a key to the running a successful business.
I agree. I agree. I completely agree with the challenges. I just thought that that's why they will need you more.
Yeah, but see, they have to pick up. We cannot be there
Yeah.
for all the 12 months,
Yeah.
24/7.
I get you. I get you. I'm speaking in a lighter way.
Yeah. True.
But you're right. You're right. There will be for different industries, the 25 crore, maybe 50 crore or 20, whatever.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it could be.
But there is a cutoff point where the state change has to happen. I agree with you.
They need to move to the team management.
Yes. Okay, great. One more person last before we move on. Anybody would like to share challenge? Somebody says, what is this?
I've just texted in the chat window. I'm Nisha.
Yeah.
We are into corporate training. We are placed in Surat. We are established since 2007. Omkarji, the concern that we are facing is since 2007, we have been delivering classroom training programs for our clients and majorly have been working for manufacturing industries. The challenge we are facing is that, post-COVID, we did begin with online training programs. Initially, because of the hesitation of the clients to take on online sessions, we did a lot of things free. Eventually, we bagged in a couple of orders. But right now, the challenge we are facing is to increase our businesses, because the clients still have a lot of hesitation to, get in for the online training, because that level of engagement is missing. And due to COVID, our team is not actually able to move out and get in business the standard way we used to do earlier. So how to grow business in this world, and how to ensure to be able to deliver as well as maintain the trust level of our business owners. So that's the challenge we are facing right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you for sharing. I'm going to take you through a couple of slides, and then we're going to go into the interesting part of watching the video and having video-based interaction. Okay, so let me just open my slides. Okay, you can see the slide now, I believe. All right. Okay, good. So let me move this a little bit. Okay. So we are a team. We go by umbrella name of Global Transformation Consulting. We work in India, UK, Philippines, and Thailand. We've been offering organization development consulting, including theory-based leadership and culture transformation, as well as other specializations in strategy implementation, innovation, and sales management. Overall, around people from around 30 plus industries and around 9 countries have participated with us in the last 5 years. Luckily for us, for the last 5 years, we have been doing blended trainings and consulting, which means we have been doing online, offline. So for us, God bless that when we had to move to 100% online, it was quite easy, because we already been doing that, and most of our customers had already been exposed to doing it. So we have been continuing our consulting work all over, as well as the training work. Today's conversation is going to be around leadership from the emerging future, which is connected with Theory U, created by Dr. Otto Scharmer from MIT. And this work has been developed over the last 2-3 decades, and it has been used, and the learning process has continued through practical applications with various global companies, including Google, Alibaba, the biggest bank, ICBC, China, companies like McKinsey, World Bank, and even government organizations. So this is something that has been kind of developed and practiced globally, in not only in the for-profit, but also for the not-for-profit, education, healthcare, and government organizations. And as I showed you on first slide, there are 4 books on these topics, and the last, they are in the sequence that they were released. So the last one, The Essentials of Theory U, is the latest version, and you could kind of study more about them in all these 4 books also. And plus, of course, a lot of material going to be available on YouTube on this. These are the faculty for most of the programs that happen in India. Ferdy D'Souza, who's based in UK, Vivek and myself, we are here on this program today. And when we do in Thailand and Philippines, then Aljor, whom you met in the earlier sessions. Aljor, if you can wave your hand once again. Right, so Aljor is the faculty for, along with me, for the programs that we deliver in Philippines and Thailand. And then there are many other associates who play a big role in our work. Okay, so let's look at now. Vivek, are you, can you show this video?
Yes.
Okay, good. and I will request you to pause in between. Okay. So we're going to see a short introductory video by Dr. Otto Scharmer himself, and we want to use that to facilitate the thinking process. So I request you to have paper and pen with you so that if you have a question that comes up for you as you see the video, you can make a note of it. That would help. It's a long video. We are going to like 9 minutes, but we are going to pause it 2-3 times in between, have interactions. Okay. Vivek, we can go for it. You want to test?
Yeah, you can see the video.
I can see this. Yeah, the screen of the video. Let me just check the sound.
I came here to MIT from Europe 22 years ago in order to learn how to support and facilitate such a deep cycle of innovation and learning. One of the first things that I learned and picked up kind of when getting involved in more practical projects and change initiatives is that there are two very different sources of learning. One is learning by reflecting on the past, and the other one is learning by sensing and actualizing emerging future possibilities. While most of the, almost all of the existing learning methodologies are based on the first source of learning, learning by reflecting on the experience of the past, I became more interested in how to develop a supporting social technology that enables not only individuals but complex systems to learn from the emerging future by sensing and actualizing emerging future possibilities. And a first step to inquire that space has been to do an interview study with 150 innovators and thought leaders and entrepreneurs and creative people that each in their own field had been creating something new, in order to listen to their journey into their practices and find out what is the deeper process these people are actually doing. One of them was Brian Arthur, formerly Stanford University, and then later the head of the economics department at the Santa Fe Institute. And it was Brian Arthur actually who
You can stop the screen sharing. Okay, so if you notice, he's talking about two sources of learning, right? The first source is learning from the past, which is what all of us are champions at, right? We have been trained in that. We have lived our whole life using that methodology, wherein mostly we are reflecting on the past. We have models, theories, and then we apply them. So that's a well-known methodology. Hi, Ferdy, welcome. Surprised that you could make it. So Ferdy is one of our faculty members from UK, and due to Easter, he was not going to make it, but somehow he's here. So welcome, Ferdy.
Thank you.
You got your James Bond glasses on, okay? You can remove them if possible. Okay. So the second method of learning that he's talking about, which is new for most of us, is sensing and actualizing the emerging future possibilities. And this is what is a critical element of the leadership for the future. See, leadership is always going to be about taking yourself and your organization into a future, taking them successfully into a future, but a future which is no more similar to the past. It's not going in the same direction. For every industry, whether you're a solopreneur, as somebody said, or whether you're part of a giant organization, and irrespective of which industry you are in, the future has changed. It's not looking like the past. So if you're a PhD of the past, that's not going to be enough. You got to have a new skill, a new competency called sensing the emerging future and actualizing those emerging future possibilities. So that's what Otto is talking about. And we're going to go further to look at how do you develop that. Okay. But before we go there, if you have any question at this point, or you want to make a comment, most welcome. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll continue from there.
Very succinctly summarized a deeper innovation and learning process that I have heard many other practitioners describing in a variety of ways. And the way he summarized it was that he said that there are two types of cognition. One is downloading, which is basically acting based on habits of the past in your thinking and in your way you interact with your environment. And the other one is a deeper innovation process that he referred to with the word knowing. And when I and my colleague Joe Jaworski asked him, so what actually is the process kind of that allows you to access this deeper source of innovation that really is at the root of all profound innovation in science and also in business? He said basically that you have to go through a three-stage process that begins with observe, 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 which really means to go out to experience the system you're dealing with from the edges, to kind of to look at it and observe it from very different angles. And then kind of as you do that and as you move into the places of most potential that can teach you most about how to come up with creative responses given the situation or the challenges that you face. The second stage is to retreat and reflect and allow the inner knowing to emerge. He also said, go to the place of stillness, of inner stillness, where knowing comes to surface. So it's really about accessing the deeper sources of our intuition, both as an individual and also as a team, as a group, as a system. And then as from this process, one or two or three, kind of a few ideas and sparks of the future begin to emerge, you explore them by acting in an instant, by rapid cycle prototyping, by moving into a fast cycle process where you prototype something very local, very fast, but sufficient enough to generate feedback from relevant stakeholders to the situation. And then given that feedback, you iterate and iterate and iterate. It's basically a way of accessing the intelligence that's situated kind of around your prototype idea, kind of in the ecosystem kind of that, you know, is holding the prototyping idea that you want to bring into reality. So that was the first learning.
You want me to carry on?
No, pause, please. Thank you. Okay. So, what is the biggest enemy of us sensing the future? What is the biggest enemy of us learning from the future? Is what he calls as downloading, which is our thinking and our acting, right? Our behavior, which is based on the habits of the past. And they are so much ingrained in us that we can't see them. Like they say, fish cannot distinguish water. Like that, we can't see how much of our thinking and our behavior is based on the habits of the past. Okay, so that's our biggest enemy, enemy number one. Okay, now when we train ourselves to move from this downloading, okay, then it comes to what he calls as the deeper innovation process, which is the source of all profound innovation. And that's the U process that he talks about. So he mentioned three phases: observe, 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 retreat and reflect, and act in an instant. So the first phase is observe, observe, observe. What does it mean? It means Don't observe just from your perspective. It's not about observing from your past and your opinion and your judgment, but seeing the situation from multiple angles. Like some of us, when we looked at our leadership challenges, right? So we looked at leadership challenges of inspiring people, right? Maybe employees, maybe team members, maybe customers, right? So, and then there are always various other stakeholders involved in any game. So it's like observe, observe, observe means developing the ability to see and perceive and sense the situation from the eyes of other people. Sensing the situation from the eyes of the employees and the customers and the other stakeholders. Right? So developing your capability to do that. So that's the phase of observe, observe, observe. And once you do that and continuously do that, then at some time, after some time, you retreat and reflect and allow your inner knowing to emerge. So normally we talk about the intelligence of the head. In this workshop, we talk about intelligence of the head, heart, and hand. Okay, so when we say retreat and reflect, you're allowing the intelligence of the heart also to come in picture, and you will get some inspiration, some sources of inspiration, something profound will come up. Oh yeah, because now you have gone out of your head and you have seen things from others' eyes, which is the competency you build in the first phase, of course, right? So, and once you have done that, once you have seen the situation from multiple angles, and then when you retreat and reflect, you will have something new emerge, like your source connection will come up and some inspirations will come up. Okay, so that is what we mean by allowing your deeper knowing to emerge, not just the superficial knowing. And the third phase is very important. It's called act in an instant. That once you get that connection, once you get that insight, then you get into action. Then you don't stop and do analysis paralysis, but you actually test out those hypotheses. You get into action. We call it learning by doing. And when you start the learning by doing process, you actually open the learning process to everybody involved. So you're not only putting your head there, but you are opening the game so that everybody around you can also play with you in the game and co-create, co-learn. So you're tapping the intelligence of the whole environment. It could be the intelligence of your team, your customers, your stakeholders, as is there. Right? So this is the first dimension that we're talking about. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, that's pretty clear. That's very interesting. Yes.
Okay, Nisha, thank you.
I have a question.
Good, Namdev. Go ahead. You're on mute. Namdev, you're going on mute.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it means whatever I have learned in the past, maybe degree, whatever education, it is not going to help me in future. That is what it means. Okay?
No, it doesn't mean that it's not going to help you. But if you are going to be dependent on that only, then you definitely will get into trouble.
Okay.
Right? Because
unless and yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
You will have to sense the future emerging, right? Like a wave in the ocean, right? You have to sense that wave, right? You can't say, oh, I know swimming and I know the ocean, right? You know all that, but at the same time, you need to see what is coming in the present moment, right? The future that is coming in the present moment. And then you have to shape yourself, shape your actions accordingly. Right? Otherwise, many big companies, 1,000 times bigger than us, right, have got destroyed in the market because they knew too much, they stopped learning.
Yeah.
Right. So, and stop sensing the future. So you got to always sense the future which is emerging. and you have to be in sync with that. And then you leverage your whatever competency you have, you leverage that, but you don't, your competency should not become your limitation, right? There should be your advantage, not a limitation. Should not be like you're stuck to that.
Okay, got that. Thank you so much.
See, I have a small question. I am Indranil.
Sure.
See, do you feel agility is something which you were talking about in these step number 2? I am not talking about step number 3. Step number 2, are you talking about in retrieve and reflect? Are you talking about agility also? The person has to be highly agile so that they can see the future and afterwards the person can act accordingly.
I was more referring to agility in step number 1. Being able to see things from multiple perspectives, from multiple stakeholders' perspectives. Okay, and step 2 is more about having seen the situation from multiple angles, then you kind of step back and go beyond the limitation of your head and allow the deeper knowing to emerge. That's something MBAs have destroyed. But
you see that then is this the way that you first do some sort of R&D? That means you get to know something, what is happening, but through observation. Observation not only meaning seeing, it is also even introspecting. And you collect information. After that, you go into deep meditation and try to find out, see the picture, what can happen, or maybe extrapolating something, right? So that may be the second step, what you are talking about. I am not very sure. You have to explain it further.
So what is the leadership challenge that you are referring to?
Any leadership challenge. Suppose, as for example, social problem, social sustainability problem is my challenge, right?
Okay.
I am not able to give a sustainable environment to the business what I am in. So that is my challenge. In sustainability challenge. Now I know what are the challenges. See, as for example, maybe I am on right track, but maybe people are interpreting me wrongly, especially in social circumstances. What you call bottom of the pyramid, they may not be judging me properly. Now tell me what action should be taken, because how I see the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will give you another example, one example, small example.
Sure.
Suppose I was in an industry. In that area, water table was going down, and it was going down at a rate of 6 feet per year. Right. And we are not really knowing what to do. Somebody said, you go for water harvesting, that level will come up. We did that, but we didn't get much result. Then, and it was a really challenge for us, because it was a sustainability challenge for us. Not only that, we are not, because of this, we are not getting our resources. So it was a business sustainability problem, and also socially. Because social people are blaming us that as if because of us that water level has gone down. Right. Now tell me, now in this situation, how the step 2, we know the problem, we have observed, right? Now step 2, how it step 2, we try to do through water harvesting, we have to do the plantation, but it didn't really help much, because we are only very isolated one, maybe a drop in the ocean. As a result, I mean, you know, the perception about us as an organization, what the society treated us, I mean, that is that they felt that we are not doing anything, though we were doing our maximum. Now tell me, this is the leadership challenge I have, sustainability issue, right? Now tell me in these circumstances, how you match yourself, or what you suggest?
Yeah, so I would recommend that you go back to step 1. Okay.
Yeah.
And firstly, before even step 1, if you look at what is the enemy for all of us, okay, the enemy for all of us in sensing the emerging future is our downloading.
Okay. Not very clear to me.
Yeah,
what do you mean by that? See,
again,
one second, I will just add one line. I will add so that I will be very crystal clear about it. See, my challenge is bottom of the pyramid, right? That means social. I mean, we had our responsibility. We knew our responsibility. We were concerned about people, planet, and profit. All those things, all the bottom of the pyramid, 3P. But still, the problem is the people for whom we are really working, they were not really thinking that we are doing enough. Their expectation is much more. And you can say we are at our threshold. I mean, we are doing more than what we could do. Now, in such cases, now how the step 2 can help, because we followed step 1, step 2, and also.
0.
What is step 0? You said 1, 2, 3, not step 0.
Step 0 is downloading.
Okay. What do you mean by downloading, sir? Please.
Is thinking and acting.
Yeah.
Based on the habits of the past.
Okay.
So all of us, no exception, if you are a human being, right? All of us are programmed to think and act based on our habits of the past.
Okay.
Right? So it's not personal to you. It is personal to you because you're a human being, and it's personal to me because I am a human being. All of us are all the time, 24/7, 365. We are thinking and acting based on the habits of our past.
Okay.
And inside of that, no new world of opportunity can emerge. Okay, so it's not an easy conversation. This is a leadership conversation, so it's not expected to be easy, right? But I'm inviting you to consider that, like all of us, you're also in the same trap. You and your team are also in the same trap. We're thinking and acting based on the habits of our past.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with you.
And it's just all of us are like that. And the people that you're dealing with, even they are doing the same thing, right? Everybody, all human beings are in the same trap.
Right.
And inside of that, there is no new world opening up. So the first step would be that you and your core team, right, key people, have to start saying, okay, how are we thinking and acting based on the habits of our past? Right? Where are we operating from our own opinion and judgment? Right? Opinion about others, opinion about the situation, judgment about the situation, judgment about others, judgment about ourselves, judgment about what is possible and not possible, all of that, right? So there is all habits of the past that are there. And it's not right or wrong, but they're just from the past. And
right.
They don't allow you to see and sense something new. We need, for the leadership of the future, you need some different sensing skills. And your team will need some different sensing skills. And we can't sense the future till the time our head is in the past. And unfortunately, we are programmed like that. So once you start noticing the downloading and are willing to notice the downloading, you and your core team, because they will play a big role with you, then you can start looking at, okay, how do I go to this phase called observe, observe, observe? What does it mean? Well, it means I'm seeing the situation from multiple angles, not from my angle only, but from angle of various stakeholders. Firstly, when we ask, we have been doing this work for the last 5 years, and when we ask people, who are the stakeholders? They're generally not able to name all the possible stakeholders. They are hardly name 1 or 2 categories, right? But when you start looking at, there are many more stakeholders. There are invisible stakeholders. We don't take them into consideration. They don't have a say. They don't have a voice, but they are still affected by that, right? So when we start observing, keeping just our thought process aside, but actually genuinely observing, and then what we learn in the course, workshop, and in the consulting process is various tools to help you learn these observing skills, where you can see things from other sides and you can sense things as it shows up for other people. So there are various tools that you learn which allow you to get the world from multiple angles. And that's what we mean by observing, observing, observing. And then once you have done that enough, right, from multiple angles, then you go to the step 2, which is retreat and reflect and allow the inner knowing to emerge. So, but unless we do the step 0 and step 1, right, we're not going to have much of step 2 to do. Thank you very much. It is a brilliant question, and I think it's relevant for everybody. I don't think there is any person here who's an exception to what you're addressing. All of us are stuck in our own downloading. Indranil, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I should say thank you because you have explained it nicely. So I have to concentrate more on downloading, right? Yeah.
Yes, and all of us are there. So it's not like a personal problem. It's like COVID. It's everybody's problem, right? Unfortunately, it's a million times bigger than COVID because it's affecting humanity since beginning of humanity, maybe. Good. Anything else, Inanil?
No, nothing. Deepak Chopra is raising his finger. Vivek Chopra, right?
Okay, right. And good. 1 second. Anand Chabra, if you're trying to say something, you're on mute.
No, thank you very much. I'm sorry I joined in late.
No
but the
problem.
question is from Vivek, not from me. He has raised the finger. Thank you very much.
Vivek is co-faculty, so he must have wanted to add something. I couldn't see him because I was watching the other screen.
I've joined in just now. I've joined in. I was outside, so thank you very much for inviting me.
Vivek Chopra is raising his hand continuously. I mean, we have to give him chance to speak.
Yeah, that is his job. He always raises his hand because.
But he is raising a finger as if we are out.
Don't worry. Yeah, Vivek, did you want to add anything?
Just a little bit. You really said everything very, very brilliantly. Just want to say that just imagine that we are in a collective vicious circle in the challenges that we are facing. And in this collective vicious circle, we are right in the middle and all our team members are also in the middle. And when we stay inside that vicious circle, we don't see much except whatever the past tells us to. What happens in stage 1, which is observe, 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 we start to move out of that vicious circle collectively and individually and collectively, and slowly stop the force that vicious circle has on us, and start observing what are the different possible views of dealing with that situation, to really create our own ability to learn more from the peripheries of the challenge rather than from inside the vicious circle, which is what Manoj was saying. We've got to get on to the peripheries and see the situation from all the angles. And then through that observation, through that observe, at some point, you will be able to retreat, reflect, and an inner knowing will emerge, and you will see that you have some new level of power to deal with the challenge that you are faced with in today's world. I just wanted to add that. But whatever you said was perfect.
Thanks, correct. Anybody else? Any questions? Any comments before we move on? And guys, we're going to request you for the 5th time, and we'll continue to request you many more times. It is always better if you keep your videos on and interact. Otherwise, we have had enough lectures in our life. We don't need some more. The more you interact,
one of the reasons why, Nisha and a lot of you, why these kinds of programs aren't engaging is because the videos are off. If the video is on, you will engage with people and you'll find it really interesting. Putting the video off makes you sort of try and do 2 things at the same time. It's called multitasking. And I can tell you what multitasking leads to. It leads to Alzheimer's disease very quickly. And slowly and steadily, you will wake up in the morning and wonder where you are and who's in your bed next to you. And you'll say, who are you, and stuff like that. Please do not do multitasking. Have your videos open and start connecting.
Vivek, okay. No need to scare everybody so heavily, even though it might be accurate, but let it be. Okay, so Vivek, can we go to the video again? Fadi, did you want to say anything? You're on mute. Fadi?
No, I didn't have
Okay.
anything to add.
Okay, yeah.
There
Vivek,
is such a deep learning cycle that is going through these different stages that can be described in this way. The second thing that I learned is that this kind of process really only works if you, as an entrepreneur, as an innovator going onto that journey, engage in some inner leadership work. And the moment I really stumbled into that insight was by talking with the late CEO of Hanover Insurance, Bill O'Brien, who, after conducting and leading many processes of transformation and change, summed up his own experience with the following word: the success of an intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener.
Go ahead, Vivek.
Let me translate. The success of what I do as a leader, as an innovator, as a change maker, depends on the inner place, depends on the source from that I operate. So it's not what I'm doing, or not only what I'm doing, it's not only how, the process I'm applying to a situation, but it's the source that I am operating from. It's the quality of attention and intention and presence that I bring into a situation. That is, he says, that makes all the difference. When I heard these words, I realized that I had no idea about this third dimension, the source level. All I knew was about the what and the how, but the source level I really never considered or reflected upon. And I also realized that this is not only a blind spot for myself, but really a blind spot for the entire field of leadership research and most of social sciences. So it brought me kind of onto this pathway of developing theory U as a social field theory that not only looks at the what and the how, but that really makes visible the source dimension that we are operating from as individuals, as teams, as organizations, as larger systems, and the impact it has depending on which source we are operating from. So today, I would summarize the source dimension that Bill O'Brien was pointing me towards by differentiating between three inner places or three capacities that we need to cultivate as change makers, innovators, and leaders. The first one is the open mind, by which I mean the capacity to suspend our old habits of judgment, basically to see with fresh eyes. The second one is the open heart, by which I mean the capacity to empathize, to redirect our attention, to look at a problem not just from my angle, but also from the angle of the other stakeholders that are involved in the situation. And number three, to cultivate the open will, which is essentially the capacity to let go and let come. Let go of the old and let come of the emerging new possibilities. These two insights basically summarize the two foundation stones of the U theory and the U process. So it's kind of a process on the one hand, but it's kind of this inner cultivation work related to the opening of the mind, the opening of the heart, and the opening of the will, on the other hand, that in our view really makes all the difference. The question, of course, now is, okay, that's kind of the framework, right? How?
Okay, thank you. So somebody tell me what are the three inner cultivation activities that Otto Scharmer is talking about. Did you capture that as you were watching the video?
So I can tell you, I heard two of them.
Okay.
I could not quite understand the third one, but he said that we must have an open mind. Right. He said we must have an open heart. And he said we must act with an open will. And what he says is so meaningful. He says that you must have the capacity to suspend your judgments from the past. So you start looking at the future being absolutely value neutral. So you try to read them objectively and not bias them. And then he says a very important thing, and which I must learn from my business, ability to empathize and look at this, how it is going to impact all other stakeholders. So even when you sometimes try to sell to maximize your returns or this, but you must know the market realities and how are your buyers feeling, how are your customers, what are the problems they are facing. And then the third part, I still leave on you to explain open will.
Yes. Great, Sashi. I think you captured the first 2 points very well.
It's 5 o'clock.
Okay. So I'll just kind of reiterate what you captured, and then I'll go to the third one also. So open mind is the capacity to suspend our old habits of judgment. Okay. This is easier said than done. Right. So consider 50% of our job as a leader is to develop this skill, to suspend our old habits of judgment. And this is a job which we mostly think we are good at. And the more we think we are good at, the more pathetic we become at that. It's like listening. The more we think we are great at listening, the horrible we become at listening. Right? So the open mind is actually, I would say, is about being able to question everything that we hold in our mind as true, as valid, or as false. Like being able to question that and seeing with fresh eyes. And fresh eyes generally doesn't mean our eyes. It means from different perspectives, right? And open heart is, yes, the capacity to sense and empathize, keeping ourselves in other people's shoes, and not just the visible people, not just the people who are saying and having influence, but even those who are affected, right? So maybe not just the customers, but maybe the customers' customers, or maybe people at large, right? Like maybe if you're dealing with education, it's also about students who are yet to come into education field, or students yet to be born. How is this whole issue getting impacted or going to impact them? So there are many stakeholders who we normally don't include in the decision making, and being able to empathize from them. So that's the open heart. And Sashi, as you mentioned about open will. Open will is again a very critical aspect of leadership, which is also connected with fear. And as you know, fear is one of the most powerful forces. They say fear and love are two most powerful forces that run the world. And then fear must be the one who's doing most of the damage. So fear is, open will is about letting go of the old ways of seeing, old ways of thinking, old ways of working. Oh, this is how things have always happened. Oh, this is how we know to do. This is what has always been done. Letting go of all of that old without having another answer ready. See, it might be easy to let go of the old when you have an alternative answer ready. But the alternative answer, the future won't even emerge. You won't even see the other possible answers unless you give up your attachment to the old answers. So for you to even sense the new possibilities, you will have to give up your attachment and the positionality that you're holding on your current or the past answers. So letting go of the past, letting go of the old, and allowing the future to emerge, letting come the future to emerge. So that is the three aspects: open mind, open heart, open will. Okay. And before I go ahead, let me give my fellow faculty members if they would like to say something. Ferdy, would you like to say something?
Yeah. You know, the thing is, I think it really operates in a different realm than in the realm of knowing. As we know, knowing, and what we mean by knowing is understanding and application. We'll understand something and then we'll apply it. And this education isn't about knowing something in a way that I can then apply it. So you might be listening to what Manoj is saying and say, all right, now I know what I should do. I should put the past aside. I should open my heart. I should be empathetic to people. I should get rid of my fear. All that's fine. That's like reading. That's like learning how to learning how to ride a bicycle by reading a book. You can get all those things of how to balance properly, make sure the weight is properly put, and then hold your hands on the wheels and then push off. But the way you will really learn is by falling flat on the face when you do that, and then learning from that. So in many ways, whatever we're pointing to here will need to be learned. And in order to be learned, you're going to need to practice it, and practice it in a particular environment. And in the course, in the workshop, we will give you, you will have exercises. You will do exercises with the participants in which you will actually engage in it in a safe environment, in which you'll engage with putting aside what you know, putting aside the past, opening your heart, and you will practice those. So that's, I wanted to put that in the mix for everybody.
Perfect, Ferdy. Thanks. Okay. Aljor, Vivek, do you want to add anything? Okay. Aljor says no. Okay. Vivek? No? Okay, great. Thank you. So the other thing that Otto Scharmer talks about, the quote. So let's go back to the quote. I don't know if some of you captured it. The success of an intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener. I know that you may not be able to read it, small font, but if you want to write down, most welcome. The success of an intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener. What it means is the success of the projects that you are working on depends on your interior condition. The success of the projects and commitments that I have depends on my interior condition. So what is this interior condition? We call it the source condition. So this interior condition has three facets. It's quality of attention, quality of intention, and quality of presence. Again, all of this, you have to keep in mind what Ferdy said. Knowing is not going to make much difference, but you have to start with the knowing. But ultimately, it's about developing the ability, which will only happen in a certain practice environment, right? But let's look at what are these three. So quality of attention, quality of intention, and quality of presence. Let me start with the second one first, quality of intention. And I think it's one of the most critical aspects. So we have a saying in this, is we call it an ego intention and an eco intention. So let's see what we mean by ego. Ego is like a boundary. Right? So look at ego. in this new context, we look at it like a boundary, wherein you are thinking of the benefit of the people who are within that boundary. So when I say I, there's a boundary. When I say my family, there's a boundary. My department is a boundary. My company, it's a boundary. So when I say, oh, I want my company to be successful, right? So I'm saying some people in the company should benefit out of it. So mostly we are looking at an ego way of thinking wherein we are focusing on the success of some people or the benefit of some people. And we are not mindful of the impact on others, right? So ego is that thinking inside of a boundary. Eco, on the other hand, comes from the Latin word or Greek word, which really means holistic, like home, like ecology and economics. It's about the whole. It's in our Indian context, some of us use this word Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole world is our family. So it's about thinking from the whole. Right? It's not that, oh, I take care of some and I don't know what happens to others. No, it's about having a bigger holistic picture. That's why when I was saying about stakeholders, I was saying we have to be mindful of stakeholders who don't even have a voice, who are not even there to fight against or share their perspectives, right? So the intention, is it an ego intention or is it an eco intention? So when you have ego intention, then of course the game gets limited. But when you have an eco intention, then the same business looks very different. So if you're looking at your leadership challenge, then you look at, okay, is it from an ego intention or is it from an eco intention? Then there's the game different. The other thing is attention. See, many companies and many individuals have great vision. But then the question is, what percentage of your attention is on that vision or that intention? And what is the quality of that attention? Or is your attention distracted by everything else that is there to distract? So that's the other part of attention. And the third is presence. We'll talk about it a little later. But let's see if you want to say anything more, or do you get these two parts, intention and attention, or if you have any questions, comments around it.
But when you say in your eco intention, that try to listen to even those who are not present to defend themselves, are you not making the scope so wide that it becomes almost unmanageable?
So give me an example from your business.
So my business is to run airports.
Yeah.
And I run the airports for the benefit of the aeroplanes on one side and my passengers on the other. But then I have so many stakeholders. I even have the porters who are at the airport. I even have the wheelchair operator who is at the airport. I even have the samosa seller who may be working for a restaurant owner at the airport. I mean, these are the invisible stakeholders. Who all do I think about?
Yeah, and also maybe the more I get you, these are there, and then the other stakeholders are the people staying around the airport, right? The localities, the residential communities.
That's the biggest Mumbai problem.
नरेंद्र मोदी को भी दिखला नरेंद्र मोदी आता प्रतिष्ठा आईएएस अफसर को भी दिखला
Ashish, are you speaking to us?
No, sorry.
Okay, yeah. I know Narendra Modi has been my student sometime, but I know he's not in this session. Okay.
How Narendra Modi was as a student? It's just curiosity.
At that time, he was not a prime minister. He was a chief minister of Gujarat. We did a workshop for him and his leadership team.
How was he as a student? That is the
Oh,
question.
he was great. I think he was an extraordinary student. He participated full day. He was in a full day workshop. He participated very well and did everything, including some of the activities and everything. And at the end of it, he also pointed one flaw we had in our one part of our game. There was one statement which was factually not correct. He pointed that out politely at the end of the workshop also.
I also have an experience with him when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. And I can tell you, he is a brilliant student. The kind of attention and focus he brings onto something and how he can simply save himself from distraction is something amazing. I mean, you have to either so accomplished or I don't know, so resourceful to really free yourself of distraction.
Yeah. Let's go back here right now to where we are. So see, I think as you start including these people, right? Yeah, the game will change, right? And you will have to see, that's what we were talking about, letting go, right? The letting go of the fear. So the first fear you will have to let go of is, how can I run my business if I start thinking of all the stakeholders, right? That's what we call as a voice of fear, right? Now we are not even listen to them. We are not even consider them. We're already afraid of that, right? That samosa keeper is not, what is he going to take away from you? At least nothing that you cannot even listen to him. But we are so scared. It's not just you, all of us. We're just so scared to even listen, even discover what others are thinking and expecting and what's going on. And when we don't listen, it doesn't mean that those things will disappear, right? They will show up in some form or the other. And ultimately, it will show up in the non-workability of the society. Like what happened to all of us when we saw, as a country, we saw that we had not taken care of these workers, right? The migrant workers, migrant labor, and then it became a big human calamity or a human kind of whatever you call it, but it's definitely not a nice thing that could have happened, right? And so yeah, one is we can, out of fear, we can choose to not listen, or maybe we can have the courage and see, maybe something new can emerge. Maybe new possibilities, new things could emerge. Maybe it won't be just you won't be able to push your answers, but maybe new answers will emerge, maybe which are more sustainable, right? Like what our friend Indranil was saying in the starting, maybe it won't be what answer you want to push, but maybe something new, right? Or what I think Nisha was saying, right? When you start listening, you might discover new worlds of answers. Mostly, it won't be you pushing the same answers that you already have, right? Mostly, but God knows what will actually emerge. Unless we start listening and sensing, we don't know really what will emerge, right? Okay, good. Shashi, thank you very much. Thanks for your participation in this conversation. Somebody else, what are you getting? Queen Justice, would you like to say something? What are you getting in this conversation? And everybody else, Sudarshan, Tracy, Alice, Anjan, Anita, Debashis. Hi, Sanjay, welcome. And Nayantara, welcome.
There's a question in chat.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so what I interpret from what you're saying is that there is a safety in the old path, and is there a risk in the new path, right? Whose question was it? Chandrasekhar, right? Yeah. Chandrasekhar, can you hear me? So we're not asking you to try the new path. We are asking you to listen and sense. Okay, we are not advertising you go for the new path, but we are asking you to develop a new competency of listening and sensing. And then once you sense the emerging futures, you sense new possibilities, then we train you how to test out, which is, how do you test out the new paradigm? You don't have to take huge risk. How do you test out your new hypothesis? That's the whole work of rapid prototyping, right? But that is much later. Before that, you'll have to see, just because there is fear that the next thing will not work out, if that stops us from even listening and sensing, then there is no innovation ever going to happen, right? Chandrasekhar, can you hear me? Okay, so I can't hear Chandrasekhar right now. Chandrasekhar, yeah. So are you getting what I'm saying? We are not recommending that you go full out on a new path, okay? But just because the new path may not be comfortable, it should not stop us from sensing and listening and getting the emerging world, okay? Are you with me so far?
Yes, but how long it takes, this sensing, this etc. How long this goes on and on then?
You have to start, Chandrasekhar. Once you start, you will know.
But you must be knowing.
Every game takes its own time. Okay.
Time in what? Is it months, years, or decades? Nowadays, this time moves so fast. That's what I am asking.
No. So in one way, it's like, it depends on. So what is the challenge that you are dealing with? I can give you a more appropriate response if you tell me what is the leadership challenge that you are dealing with.
Hello?
Yeah, can you tell me something more about your leadership challenge that you are dealing with? Then I can respond appropriate to that, because otherwise it's a generic conversation. Chandrasekhar, what is the situation you are dealing with?
Let me tell our situation. It is
please.
Because I don't work in a company. I'm a professor in management.
Right.
The problem we face is most of the students we take, they don't want to become entrepreneurs. They want to end up with a job. It is very tough to change their mindset. That is the problem we are facing.
Right.
So they don't want to do any enchanted territory. They don't want to take the risk. And everybody says, I will join Procter & Gamble, Hindustan Lever, that's all, and then saturate.
Because I also conduct a training program as well. Also, I take some classes in the colleges, management as well as engineering colleges. Right. I also face the same thing, and they are not interested in studies at all. I mean, this is the general opinion. They are not interested in studies. They want to get the certificate. That's all.
Yeah. So
and they are more
interested. I heard you,
Indranil.
I get you, and I'll come back to you, Indranil. Let me hear Chandrasekhar, yeah, and I'll come back to you.
Oh, no, okay, I have already spoken. Nothing else.
Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah, Chandrasekhar, go ahead.
And one of the some feedback when we take from the students, what they say is even our ecosystem, I think, doesn't allow them to take risk. First thing they tell is, sir, I have taken education loan, I have to give. Second thing he says, the moment my parents will tell I am working in Infosys, etc., getting married is easy. Whereas if I say my son is an entrepreneur, they are telling it is very tough to even get married.
Yes. Right.
So how do we change this mindset is what I was trying to find out. In the younger generation, where some other member also told that the same problem is faced by many education institutes, I think is a common problem it has become.
Right. Yeah. So first is as you have started seeing the situation from their eyes also, right?
Correct. We are seeing.
Yes. Yes. So now it's, why do you want them to go into entrepreneurship?
Hello.
Why do you want them to go into entrepreneurship?
I think that is where the future is. See, what happens, I think most of them afterwards, they realize until either they saturate in their companies, they are not able to do whatever they want. Somehow that creativity is getting lost. Even their own bosses doesn't know what these people are telling, and they will say, no, it is very risky. You don't, we have not taken you to try these type of risks here.
Right.
Somehow they feel after certain point in time, they are feeling their creativity is somewhat curtailed. But by that time, many feel it is too late to get back and become entrepreneurs again, because that family responsibilities have increased and other responsibilities have increased. They are telling somehow they get stuck there.
Right. Okay. So I understand. So you want them to go for entrepreneurship because you think they will not be fulfilled in the jobs, right?
Correct. They may not saturate in their jobs. If he's an entrepreneur, then what happens in a bigger company?
Right.
That is one problem. There are other problems also, but at least one of them I have told, because they come back to me again.
Yes.
Sir, we are stuck here, and whatever new initiatives we tell, the older generation is not able to understand. So they tell these are all tested paths. We cannot take this much risk as what you are telling. So you just tell what we tell you to do.
Right. Very good. Yeah. So this is a perfect situation. This is a perfect situation for training them, right? Not only for you, but it's also for training them, right?
Yes. Yes.
In open mind, right? And see, all of us are stuck in the same pattern, right? So it's not just you, they're also doing downloading, right? They're also listening from the habits of the past, right? And you can see that same is true for the society, right? So now if you want to train them, right, and you will have to maybe train them in sensing the future. See, you are have seen a dimension of the future, their future, right? In terms of that, yeah, there are risks in terms of being fulfilled in a large organization. Now, of course, it's one of the dimensions, and there are many more dimensions. But maybe what you can see is there is a certain amount of downloading going on about what kind of careers they should have, right?
I am tempted to intervene, but it will take the discussion in some new direction. But I'm sorry, these professors of the present management schools, they are also not changing themselves. They are not changing their mindset. They are not mindful of the emerging realities. Case study based MBA education was started in Harvard in 1976. All the management schools in India are blindly aping that case study method even today, not telling the students what is the importance of understanding the theoretical knowledge, which is a body of crystallized practices. Management is not a theoretical field. Management is started by somebody doing F.W. Taylor, right? But then these professors are only giving them cases, and the present students, they go to internet, download the solutions. See, when the case study method was adopted in 70s and 80s and 90s, the students used to go
Shashi,
and spend.
I'm going to request you to pause here because I think you highlighted something very important. It gave me give me an insight.
Sir, only one line I will speak. You don't.
No. Wait. Everybody, wait. Hold on.
You don't generalize like this.
Yeah. Chandrasekhar, hold on.
You cannot generalize and then make statements like this. Please don't make such statements.
Chandrasekhar, hold on, please. Let me give you I think what Shashi pointed out actually gave me a very good insight. Okay, so let me share this insight with all of us here. Okay, so consider, and I think it's highlighting what I have been saying. It give that all of us are trapped in this downloading. Okay, so now let me help you see this. And so the students are downloading about what kind of careers to have and what kind of education to have. Parents are downloading about what kind of jobs and future students should have and what is success. We have downloading about that also. This is all coming from the past habits, right? And then the companies are downloading about what kind of students and employees should have, right? The education institutions are having their own downloading about their own role. Managers are having their own downloading. Companies, the whole, it's not just that one group of people is downloading or one group of people is stuck in the past. All of us are in the same trap. And if you want to make a difference at one level, right, we'll have to create a small ecosystem which will allow us to see this challenge from multiple dimensions. So when you look at, okay, empowering entrepreneurship, let's look at who are the stakeholders. It's not just the student. If we are trying to empower entrepreneurship just by looking at students, we are only looking at one of the many stakeholders. We'll have to look at many other stakeholders. So if you look at empowering entrepreneurship, and I personally also am of the interpretation that empowering entrepreneurship is very important for most countries in the world, right? And I think small and medium enterprise are playing a big role in most of the countries. Okay, so if you want to empower entrepreneurship, right, who are the various stakeholders involved? Is it only the students? Of course not, right? So we'll have to look at many more. And if you are looking at also, and if you look at the challenge of companies having great employees, right? So, and who have that entrepreneurship spirit, because companies also want people with entrepreneurship spirit, right? Then you look at the whole ecosystem there. So what is possible is to actually start addressing issue by dealing with at an ecosystem level, not just by dealing with one stakeholder group level. Because anything you deal with at a one stakeholder group level, you're going to be dealing with a silo. And this whole silo thinking, right, which is another extension of ego thinking, gets us to try to solve a problem, but after some time, the solution itself becomes a problem. Okay, so anything when you try to do it in a silo, oh, I'm only going to work with this stakeholder and see if I can solve the whole thing. It is never going to work, never ever going to work. So let me pause here and let me hear if you hear from you. What did you get in my last conversation?
Can I say something?
Yeah, Ashish.
Yeah, what I feel is that what Mr. Chandrasekhar said is correct in the sense that they have not been able to motivate a lot of students for entrepreneurship. But at the same time, I think.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard.
Okay.
So I think they should take some of these actions, like give good examples of some successful entrepreneurs. Then they should invite some successful entrepreneurs for
Ashish,
giving their own, sharing
Ashish,
their own knowledge and experience.
Ashish, hold on.
Like that. Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
So there's no point in we giving any suggestion right now, okay? Because we don't know what they are already doing and not doing.
Okay.
So giving any suggestion right now is inappropriate, okay? Can you consider that? Because we don't know what they are already doing and not doing. So how can we give any suggestion? But if you reflect on what I said, that the issue that we are trying to address of children's career, right, is not just entrepreneurship, it's also children's career. There are many stakeholders. Do you get that part, Ashish?
Yes, I agree. There are government is also a stakeholder. There are many stakeholders.
Who are the other stakeholders?
Well, one is the state government is a stakeholder, is a big stakeholder. Like what are the policy? What are the
who are the other
policies?
Stakeholders?
What are the policies?
Beyond government, who are the other stakeholders?
Besides government, I think the stakeholders should be like other CSOs or NGOs could be other stakeholders also.
Okay. So this is where the difficulty comes in, because most of us are not trained to see and get the world of stakeholders. So consider that there are many more stakeholders, including the corporates themselves, right? Including the parents, right? Including the society at large. So there are many stakeholders, and including the professors and education institutions and management of education institutions, right? And including not only the higher education, even the earlier education, the K-12. So there are many stakeholders in any game. And when we don't see the situation from multiple angles, which is what we are talking about, observe, right? It needs to see, we need to see things from multiple angles and involve multiple people in the game. That's when, if you want to address a big issue like this, you're going to be able to. Now, this is a big issue. This is not about, okay, can we find a solution today and fix the issue tomorrow? That's not going to happen, right? It requires a certain commitment and a certain time perspective. And then we have to involve many more people. And this is what we do. So, for example, in our courses, people take on such large projects, right? So right now, for example, we have advanced course going on, and we have people who are taken on big projects like this, not exactly this one, but many big projects. For example, we have Nilesh Surana here. So he and his core team, they have taken on a project of empowering the small and medium enterprise to provide leadership in the society, right? So it's in that direction. And then there is a team from Karnataka, which is working on organic food for everybody. And then there is a professor from Karnataka, and he's taken on having his organization, it's a higher education organization, be a benchmark organization for quality education. And it started with, he wanted to get his college certified, NABH certified. But when he worked with us in the course, he realized the certificate in itself is not going to be, that's not his real intention. That was just what do you call, symbol, a milestone in the bigger commitment of quality education. So there are people, and for example, Aljor, are you there? I think you're still, yeah. So Aljor, what is your team working on in Philippines?
We're working on transforming leadership for societal healing and renewal. And basically, what we're doing is transforming leadership from different sectors of Philippine society, so that they can have an initiative that is consistent, and it will be a shared vision instead of them working on their own.
So Aljor's team has one of the team member who used to work with Oxfam. Recently, they did a leadership workshop for youth wing of UN SDSN. Yeah. And they are working with youth, and they're working with women leadership. So it requires a different perspective and a willingness to address issues. Now, of course, all of us are not dealing with this scale, right? Some of us are dealing with as a solo entrepreneur or this thing, but it's the same thing in our own businesses. Can we expand the horizon from where we think, right? Can we move from ego thinking of benefit of some people or seeing from the eyes of some people to seeing from the eyes of multiple, and then be willing to create a new world, right? Okay, so we have limited time. So let me first give you the basics of our next course, and then we can continue the conversation. And we are going to also share our contact numbers with you. So if you would like to have some deeper conversations on any of these aspects, most welcome to do that. Vivek, while I am talking, can you put in your numbers? Nilesh, you can put in your numbers, and Aljor, you can put in your numbers, right? WhatsApp numbers so that people can get in touch with you, or if you want, you can also put in your email IDs. Okay. So we have been doing workshops and consulting for the last 5 years on Theory U. We do some long-term contracts and long-term workshops also, wherein we use Theory U as the foundation, and then on the top of it, we work on strategy implementation and sales and innovation. But we use Theory U to build in the leadership skills, managerial development skills at the middle level, and change the whole culture from ego thinking to eco thinking. And wherein the whole atmosphere of a company gets altered in the way they look at not just the key employees, but they look at every employee. And not just the employees, but also the way they partner with customers, and they partner with vendors, and they partner with stakeholders. So that's something that we work on. We have also been doing training workshops as a starting point for people. And as I mentioned earlier, more than 30 industries, people from 30 industries have participated in these workshops. So in an online format, we have done 17 workshops till now. Each workshop is around 3 months. So our next workshop is starting from 17th April. So the design is, it's a 2-day workshop followed by a 6-session seminar series. So 17th, 18th April is the full day workshop. Full day means 12 noon to 8 p.m. Okay, because we have our partner and senior faculty from UK FRD also participating in those workshops. So we have the timings 12 noon to 8 p.m. And then it's followed by 6 sessions, which will be 1 session a week, which will be either a Monday or a Tuesday, most probably at a timing of 7 to 9:30 p.m. Evening time. Okay, so that will be the design. In this workshop, first you will master this 3 process. What we talked about is observe, 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 and allowing the inner knowing to emerge, and then taking action from inside of that, right? We also say it another way is there is 3 dimensions: transformation of perception, transformation of self, and transformation of action. So every change and every leadership really begins from transformation of perception. You can't lead differently if you can't see differently. So the first thing is your ability to see and sense differently. Leadership begins with seeing and sensing differently. Right? So that's where the first aspect of transforming perception comes in, which is going to be a major chunk of this workshop. All the tools that Ferdy mentioned, there'll be a lot of tools that you will learn, a lot of exercises you will do, which will really give you mastery in seeing the world from multiple eyes and sensing it from multiple angles. The second critical aspect is getting connected with your real self. Because the power of your real leadership is only going to be proportional to how deeply you're connected with your real self. So this is the second phase. And this is also something that you will access in this course workshop. Okay, connecting with your deeper self, real self, and connecting to your purpose in life. So this too will be important focus areas, and this is what you will have a breakthrough in. Once you have a breakthrough in this, you will find a different context, a different purpose. Actually, you will find you having new set of eyes and ears. Okay, with those new set of eyes, ears, and heart, you will then begin a new journey. Later on, you can continue the journey on your own. If you will need some advanced tools, we will have some structures which will give you the advanced tools to convert your new intentions into reality. But the beginning is this, okay? And the next course is on 17th April, 17th and 18th April, full day, followed by a 6-session seminar series. The tuition for this course is £500. In Indian rupees, 50,000 rupees plus GST. But for last couple of months, 6 months or more, and till March, we had continued. So we are with a certain discount, COVID discount, which we are still not removed. So still it is valid. So you will have the course available at £350, which is equivalent to 35,000 rupees plus GST. Those of you who need GST certificate and all that, you will get the GST certificate. So a GST invoice, so 18% GST as applicable. So you will have the choice for that. Okay. Good. Any questions about the course? And if you have received, all of you have received a meeting invite. And in the meeting invite, if you open the attachment, the calendar that you might have noticed, there will be an attachment. There's a brochure there, but also what we're going to do is put the brochure link here. Vivek, do you have the brochure link? All right. All right. Okay.
No.
Okay, no problem. So I will, okay, I'll just put in my number here. Okay. If you send me a hi message on my WhatsApp, I will send you the brochure link also. Okay. All right. Okay, so yes, so I sent you my mobile number, WhatsApp number, and my email ID. So you can contact me on any of them, and I'll send you the brochure link, and also it has the complete details as well as the registration link. Okay, so having said that, now let's look at what questions you have further from what we discussed so far. Any questions, any concerns, anything? Namdeo?
Thank you. Yeah, can you elaborate little bit on downloading?
Okay, let's see. I'll see if I can do that. Okay, because it will take me around 2 hours. So let me see if I can give you in short. Yeah, but so I'll do that in short, and then I want to introduce you one more dimension. Okay. Great. Anybody else? Any question, comments? Debashish?
No, I just put some remarks, regarding the previous discussions that was going around.
Yeah.
So if you want to comment on that, because who are we, again, as you are saying that we are thinking in silos. Yeah. It's our decision is to pursue like some entrepreneurship. But if that is the case, then whether entrepreneurship should be pursued and with whom becomes a big question. I mean, we can't expect every student to pursue that. Maybe the selection, there's something wrong in the selection process itself.
Yeah, so yeah, every issue there are multiple angles to see. The what the problem happens is we get stuck to 1 or 2 angles, and then there is nothing creative possible, right? So the more angles that we can see the situation from, the more you can collaborate and co-create. Otherwise, we are all stuck in our common pitfall, which is downloading, which is what even Nandya was right asking, is thinking from our habits of the past. And one of the habits of the past is we're always thinking what's right, what's wrong, and we are stuck in our opinions and judgments. So
we need to maybe do collective downloading.
Or we need to notice our collective downloading.
Yeah. First to understand the significance of that, and then
And then as we start noticing our collective downloading, then we can create space to go beyond that.
Exactly.
Right. So Nandya, you're getting a sense of that. So it's so downloading has many shapes, but one of the three common shapes and forms it takes is what we call as voice of judgment, voice of cynicism, and voice of fear. So it comes in the form of opinions and judgments, which don't allow us to see new things. Secondly, it comes in the form of cynicism, which doesn't allow us to be open to new dynamics. Or we're like, oh no, it's not going to work. Oh, we have tried this enough in the past, nothing will work. Right? So there's a cynicism. And the lastly is a voice of fear, which stops us from even considering putting aside our old habits, right? And old ways of doing. So these are three, you can say, forms in which downloading plays a big role. Okay, voice of opinion and judgment, voice of cynicism, and voice of fear. And the more you can see that, the more relevant it is, right? The more you will find opportunity to go beyond that. Now, one important question that I want to kind of gift it to all of us is this world of ego thinking versus eco thinking. Okay, and this is like a gift that the more you engage in this conversation, I'm sure the more gold you can mine out of it. So if you look at ego thinking is thinking within a boundary, thinking from the perspective of some people, thinking for the benefit of some people. And eco thinking is, say, holistic thinking, or thinking from all inclusive, right? So how does ego thinking play out? How does ego thinking play out in society? How does ego thinking play out in organizations? How does ego thinking play out in our relationships? So let's start this thinking. Let's start inquiring in this question. I don't think we can end the inquiry, but I would like all of us to begin this inquiry. How does ego thinking, silo thinking show up everywhere in our society, in our organizations, in our relationships, everywhere? Shashi, you want to take a shot?
I have a counter question to throw back at you.
Go ahead.
And my premise is that this entire work, beyond the fundamental needs of most basic requirements, is a game of vested interest. 90% of the things which are happening in this world are not required if they don't figure in somebody's vested interest. Newspapers did not happen, we didn't miss anything. Airplanes did not happen, we didn't miss anything. Movies did not happen, we didn't miss anything. But everything is happening and everyone is promoting everything because everything is someone's vested interest.
Yeah.
So this entire world is a product of ego thinking.
Okay. That's a new dimension to look at. What I would look at is, I look at it right now, and I will think of from what you're saying, but I look at it right now from that all of these are heavily impacted by ego thinking. Okay, and as you rightly mentioned, there's a lot of vested thinking all over the world. But irrespective of why they were created and what, it's even still now possible, right? That human beings can evolve, right? It's not that we have perished. We are not yet perished. Until the time we perish, we have a chance or a hope of a slimmer of a hope of transformation. And
So
maybe
he says that if,
just one second. So maybe we can relook at all of this from an eco perspective. How can we have newspapers serve an eco purpose? How can we have everything, every industry serve an eco purpose? It's possible.
Even the eco thinking is being invoked for ego thinking. Now today, because people are not reading
I don't mean
newspapers,
eco as only environment. I'm talking about holistic.
No. You listen to this. Now today, newspapers, because people are not buying newspapers and they are facing existential threat, they are asking a question: will the world be a better place if newspapers die? Now this is exploiting ego thinking for your ego thinking protection.
Yeah, sure, I agree. I agree. So I am on the same page with you that there's a lot of ego thinking on the planet, right? So I am on the same page. Now the point is we don't see it in our immediate environment. We see it little outside, right? So Shashi, the real opportunity is also to see it along with seeing it on a broader level, to see it very close to us, in our own department, in our own house, in our own office, in our own meetings. Because that's where you can impact one conversation at a time.
Yeah, but it does not happen. Even the professors who are there on the
No, Shashi, stay with your department and your company.
Yeah, even these
in your own department, can you see ego thinking?
Yes, we are encouraged to practice ego thinking. You take care of your department, maximize your value.
Yes.
Don't sacrifice your things for someone else.
Right. Very good.
Physics department should have more students joining in. So D-cell chemistry and D-cell Hindi literature.
No, I'm talking about your airport, your airport company.
Not only, I've been working for 26 years. Yeah. I worked for Times of India. I had my own vested interest to promote. Yes. And I told the world that Times of India is the savior of everything. Then I started, and I was doing it so successfly. Yeah. Then I joined radio, and I was telling the world that radio is the savior of the world, and how if radio is not there, your world has nothing, no meaning. And then I was into digital, and I said digital is the panacea. And in for last 12 years, I have been into out of home media, and I have been telling everybody that how out of home media is the savior of the marketers today. And I have been successful at all these chickenry that I have been practicing. I have earned my promotions, increments, salaries, and I'm a successful professional today. Ego thinking.
Yes. So now time to
Manoj.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we all are born and brought up in eco thinking, how eco thinking will take over in due course of time? How fast it can be inculcated in the like a value for eco thinking? Because from years and years, a leader is into ego thinking.
Yes.
How eco thinking will take over? Because somewhere, what I agree with Shashi, that somewhere we move into ego thinking.
Yeah, we live in that, but at the same time, there's a lot of, see, there are two things. One is because everybody is doing wrong, that we use that as a license to do wrong. That is one choice you have in life. Okay. Nobody can take away that choice from you. But that is not a force, that is a choice. And it affects us everywhere in our own relationships and our own work environment and everywhere. And secondly, what kind of leader you want to be is again your choice. What kind of legacy you want to leave behind is your choice. You want to say, I was as bad as the other person. Okay, fine. That's one way to live, right? And you want to create something new. That's a different world. And luckily for us, we are not the pioneers, right? There's already enough and more work happening all over the world in different forms, and has been, see, while there has been ego thinking everywhere, luckily humanity has had some ego thinking always alive across generations and across years, the same. So there are enough momentum and enough conversations opening up around the world right now, and where we see that, and since we are participating with Otto Scharmer and Presencing Institute on a global level, we are familiar with so many global conversations, so many global movements in this area, that we don't have the same, I would say, pessimist approach that I have had maybe when we didn't see that earlier, right? So there is a whole world of possibility there. And then it's better that we be the starting point, right? Instead of we being part, like, you want to be part of the solution or part of the problem?
No, but I have one more thing to tell you. Jack Welch said, and all the management thinkers are saying, that if you want to be a good leader, business leader I'm talking about, not political leader, but they say that first you have to be a performer. Those who have not performed have no claim to leadership. Nobody asks a losing captain what is
but Shashi, you can, who says you cannot be a performer from a eco thinking perspective? You can be a performer, you can make a big difference.
Unless I have my boundaries defined, I mean, I'm not the Jesus Christ.
Okay, good.
I can't stand up for humanity.
So Shashi, I cannot, I don't have no intention to win your argument. Okay, I'm only inviting you to invest 2 days and discover the other aspect of leadership that you seem to already have, right? And develop that and let that be unleashed. And you might discover that eco success is also possibility and doesn't end at ego success only, right? I know you know what I'm saying is right, right? So welcome to the game. We are going to have to close now. It's 6 o'clock. Okay, yeah. We deeply appreciate everybody's participation in the conversation, and all those of you who have joined, and appreciate those who have had your videos on and have interacted. Thank you very much, because that makes the session more lively. Otherwise I myself would have got bored, right? So thank you very much, everybody. And
thank you very much.
Shared our numbers with you, so in case you want to get in touch with us, have further conversations, know more about the work that we do, most welcome. Thanks for joining on a Sunday evening. You can now go back to your families. Okay, take care.
You.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Much, Manoj.
Bye.